The Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/red5.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This has been a day long remembered. As Damon would say in the chat, what is up, everybody? Welcome to a special... What day is today, Spencer?
Wednesday.
A special Wednesday edition of the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, Scarif Live, with my guest tonight, Spencer. You know him as the Dingus Den, comic book extraordinaire. How's it going? How's it going, man?
Going good. It's been going good. Can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me push a couple of buttons here, and we are set. Thank you guys for joining me. We have a couple people in the chat. Nicole, Damon is in there as well. We had Ubaldo earlier in the day. A couple of hours early. He wanted it to be 7:05 already, or 6:05 where he's at. Always good to see friends in the chat when we go live here, anywhere. It's a good times. So I've been wanting to do a kind of a comic book review / stream discussion, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. I don't collect as many comic books anymore because because of mortgages and things like that.
It's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so.
I remember my first comic book, I think, was like 65 cents. And that was a DC fantasy comic book. It was not even like superhero related, but for some reason, just that was like, I remember buying that at the corner, like mom and pop, like grocery, or little grocery store on the corner. Along with my my Hubba Bubba bubble gum and my what is those like really hard candies?
The gobstoppers or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. So I bought some of those, and I had a good time. There was a book. There was a story at the end of that book that was really eerie. It's called "As I Grow Pale and Thin," and it was kind of a ghost story about this little kid who died in an attic, and that story really freaked me out. So if anybody has, just look up "As I Grow Pale and Thin" DC fantasy, or Vampire, I think was the name of the actual comic book. I've posted it before, but it's a really really freaky story, and in college, I wanted to actually shoot that as a college project. So that would have been a lot of fun.
I like that idea.
Skywalker's Academy is in here too. Hello, and thank you very much for stopping by. Max Rebo Experience. Making toast for dinner. Excellent.
Right.
Excellent. Oh,
I can get with that.
Unlocking Lore is in the chat as well. She was one of the announcements I was going to make tonight. Some of the other announcements include congratulations to Daniel Sparks. He won the Darth Vader Funko Pop from I think a couple of episodes ago. I had posted make sure you listen till the end and tell me what sound effect I added to the very, very end of our Star Wars at the Oscars episode. And he guessed correctly. It was a few seconds of Darth Vader breathing. So he guessed correctly. I'm sending that Funko Pop out to you. And tomorrow I'm going to be on another friend's show, the Geeky Crochet, Maria's Arts and Tales stream. We're going to be just talking about some geeky stuff. But I'll have to set up my camera and a little work area here. We're going to be doing some drawings.
Nice.
So that'll be a lot of fun. If you have not, if you don't know who Maria is and Unlocking Lore, please go visit her channel. She's got some really great stuff, and very relaxing just watching people draw. And some of the things that she has done, along with some of her guests, are I'm very honored that she asked me to be on. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice.
Also, keep watching Danny and her geek news discussions on weekday mornings. She's got a lot to talk about. Danny at Comics so give her a follow and give her a sub. She's good people. What has happened today in the nerdosphere, the geekosphere?
Oh boy, quite a day if you're a Marvel fan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did that stream last?
Like 5.5 hours. It was like it was a new person revealed on an average of like 12 to 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, and I didn't watch it. I kept on seeing other people. Was it like it was a wide shot and the camera just kind of moved from chair to chair, or what?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I was about to say, like, I know so many people are like, I don't know why they did it this way of, it taking so long. But I was like, they got their goal at the end of the day of it. Had everybody talking about it, and Marvel got the free press they wanted.
Sure.
Out of this, so.
Yeah, and in the business, no news is what is it? There's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
So whether you're talking about it, whether you hate it or like it, it's being talked about. So people are kind of enjoying or not enjoying that, whatever your tastes are. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting film. I think Avengers Doomsday, and they're almost making it seem like Dr. Doom might be a little more either powerful or a more powerful adversary than Thanos was.
Yeah. Well, what it's leading into is the point of this movie is, and something I noticed particularly from a lot of the casting announcements they made today, is that they're trying to tie up so many of the loose ends that we felt like that has been teased in so many of the different end credit scenes over last several years.
Yeah.
And so it just from the cast that we're seeing, it's like, okay, we're picking up on a lot of these loose threads, and now having the point of trying to make everything work leading into Secret Wars, which essentially in that, that's when Doom becomes some sort of god, essentially, as he recreates everything into his own. And so it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I remember really enjoying the whole Secret Wars comic book stories. And I'm just, I'm curious to see and compare how they do, how they introduce all that and how they, stay true to the story or not, or how they modify. I know sometimes they have to change things, but yeah, that'll be interesting. I forgot, not that I forgot, and saving the best for last, but Nicole is also in the chat. And if you guys love reading and hanging out with some cool people in the Red 5 Reading book club, give her a follow over at Red 5 Reading. And you are one of their star members, aren't you?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't been there for like the last couple books, but I've been there for the most part. So we've had a good time reading a good bit over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what is Nicole reading? What are you guys reading? It's C.S. Lewis.
Third book of C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy they're on. Next they're doing oh gosh, I don't remember what they're doing next. But then after that we're getting into The Hobbit, which I'm looking forward to.
That's cool. And I'm hoping that more people join in. It's always fun. I kind of lurk in the background sometimes. I don't do Discord a lot because it annoys the hell out of me. But yeah, absolutely. I think when you guys start doing Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, I might show up a little more. Always good times. Let's see. So I had one. Did I have one more announcement? No, I did not. So I'm working on a podcast episode. I think life has kind of gotten in the way. Pat and Charles and I got together and we talked about how we feel that Disney has handled Darth Vader as a character. We went through all the newer incarnations of the Disney Star Wars products and kind of we picked apart projects that Darth Vader was featured heavily in, and we talked about how we feel Disney has handled Darth Vader. I think that episode, if I wasn't so busy, that episode would have come out tomorrow, but I think I'm going to wait a week because editing is difficult. And I've got some other projects, but that should be a very cool episode. Obviously, Darth Vader, as many people know, and from the image in the background, that Darth Vader is my favorite character, not just Star Wars or movies in general, but I think Darth Vader is one of my favorite fictional characters in anything. And there is a comic book series, and I don't have all the details. What year did Dark Visions come out?
2019, I believe.
Okay, so
the reason
okay,
I say that is because on the back of it, I have my copy of it here, is Captain Marvel right there.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait, no, that came out. No,
that came out a little later.
2018. Right, it was one of those 2 years.
Oh, okay.
No, 2019, I think is right, because it was right before Endgame was when they did that, and that's why I got so much money.
Nice. Interesting. So yeah, Darth Vader Dark Visions was a kind of a mini series. It was what, 4 episodes or 4 issues?
5
issues. Yeah. And we're gonna be talking about the first one. I'd like to at least cover all 5 with you, Spencer.
Absolutely.
This will be a lot of fun. It's again, it's something that I've always loved. When I buy comic books, it's weird. When I buy comic books like now, I usually pick the ones that have like a kick-ass cover. Because of course you do. You held up the Visions, and that's actually the first printing. If you can hold up the comic book again.
Oh yeah.
And let's see here. There it is. So who wouldn't want Darth Vader holding a shield with the Imperial emblem and riding a weird horse alien?
Yeah, right.
And
awesome.
That's always pretty cool. So that is actually, like I said, I think that's the first printing. They did a second printing because I guess the comic book was so popular, and I have posted a shot of me holding the cover of the second one, which is a little more in your face, where Vader and the horse are like charging at you with the lightsaber, holding the shield. So that's kind of an alternative cover. Yeah. But those are always cool. And I think this series was not without controversy, but I think the most controversial of the stories we can get into on the next episode, the next stream that we have, because this first one,
the one you're thinking of, I believe, is in issue 3.
Was it 3? Yeah, the one with the nurse.
Yeah.
So that one, a lot of people got their panties in a bunch.
We'll get to that one.
definitely. So I wanted to share a screen because I wanted to, dive right into the story here, and if we can kind of go through it here. So, I mean, it's an interesting story for a Darth Vader comic book because it gives you the insight from another character's perspective, another species perspective in this book, which I find interesting. And I think they kind of, did a little experimentation with the story. And I think I liked where this first Dark Visions story kind of came out.
Yes.
So briefly, like I'll kind of describe the first act, I guess. There's a battle in space that these characters on this planet are looking up, but they're minding their own business. I think, what are they doing? They're gathering, like one of the young kids is gathering like crops or something. They're out
right.
They're out on the planet. Yeah, this is the I guess the main character, but they're gathering space wheat, as they say, right?
Right.
And they're talking among themselves. They notice that there's a battle up in the sky. And again, with the young characters looking up at the sky and hero's journey and all that stuff. But this one is obviously reminiscent of that trope. But it's a trope that I kind of enjoy, because I think we all kind of look forward to that hero's journey in ourselves. Let's see. So this is kind of where things start off. There's an explosion up in the sky, and this kid is just startled by it. What else is going on throughout this part of the story? Do you remember, Spencer?
Well, yeah, I mean, like right there, you see where the explosion comes from. It particularly kind of talks about like a little bit about like how these people view everything. Particularly with the explosion, calling it the space gods, and being thankful that their god graces them with, their natural land that they have and peace there that they have at the moment. And so I find that interesting. I always find it interesting when, just in general with Star Wars, where we have such so many different kinds of aliens, and being able to explore different ones and seeing how it connects to a larger universe, particularly in this part right here where you see it all come together. I thought it was really cool seeing how it all comes together.
Yeah, and that's what I mean too by the fact that this is kind of a Darth Vader story, but from another character's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a misinterpretation of
Yeah.
I guess of what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously this character is not aware of who Darth Vader is specifically. Mm-hmm. And these are kind of like simple people that are, like I said earlier, minding their own business. And then this happens, up in the atmosphere. There's just a major battle. Yeah, this is a great frame. It's a major battle up in space. You see some frigates, battling some Star Destroyers. You see a lot of action, and I can't remember who the artist was on here, but great job on some of these panels too. And one of the things
the artist is done. Oh God, this is a name I'd butcher. The artist is Paolo Villanelli.
Oh yeah, and I do have it in the description on the YouTube screen on the bottom of the description too. So, and the writer, I think I also put the writer in there too.
And also shout out to Arif Priento to doing the coloring as well.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if this frame were a cover, I'd scoop it up in a second for sure. But obviously we see some some X-wings flying through the air and communicating with each other. They obviously see a very familiar advanced TIE fighter, and one of them says, "Hey, I know that guy. It's Darth Vader." So we get the stage set for, obviously some intrigue to come. So the explosion is felt below, and this kid character, I keep calling him a kid. He is kind of like a younger character, right? He's talking to his droid, who's like kind of flying overhead, helping him collect space wheat.
It's the vibe you get from him, but yeah, they don't say.
Yeah. But they're trying to figure out what the hell just happened. There's an explosion and things that he's seeing up in the sky. And there's that very infamous advanced TIE fighter who, has seen better days. The X-Wings, I mean, there's a space battle up there, and it seems like, they're getting the best of Vader, at least for the moment. But again, the artwork is so dynamic, you can feel this shot. If you were in a theater and you were, seeing and experiencing this in Dolby Surround, you definitely would feel it.
Absolutely.
So then, the kid or the character is watching things as the action unfolds. Vader kicks the door panel off, and he comes out triumphantly, as you see in this panel. And again, I love the way Vader is portrayed in this first issue.
Oh yeah.
And it's really great.
And he's called the Black Knight.
Yes, right. Yeah. And again, because they're not familiar who Darth Vader is, so this is just a Black Knight that came out of the sky in this space chariot, as they call.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And again, kudos to the artist. I love the glow behind his shoulder there. It just kind of seeps into the rest of the frame. And again, this would be another great cover. Yeah, Nicole says it right here. Artwork that I'd love to have on the wall.
Yeah.
Charles says the same thing. And yeah, absolutely good stuff. One of the things that I love about being a digital Marvel subscriber is that all the pages you can find and download on your electronic device. I know I would still buy the actual comic book. You get the digital code anyways.
Right.
So that's always, I always found it weird that you don't get like the physical copy if you buy the digital code, but you get the digital code for no cost if you buy the physical copy.
I believe they're doing away with that. Or at least that's something that I think they said they were doing. I don't know when, but I believe they're doing away with the digital code thing.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think, it's a lot of fun. Danny's in the house. I just gave Danny a little shout out earlier in the stream. Thank you for stopping by. I did get your text. I will answer you shortly, but absolutely. So good stuff. So Darth Vader comes out. He gets shot down, presumably by the rebel forces. And but he's in no danger. He's Darth freaking Vader.
Yeah.
But as all this is happening, something awakens. What is that, Spencer?
Oh, the Ender, they call it here. I found this whole idea very interesting because I related this, and it took a moment for this to fully click into me, but they talk about this being like their savior of the land that they very much praise, and it reminded me of the name of it is escaping me at the moment, but what's on Mandalore, the Mythosaur.
Oh yes.
And so it's cool though that you see that idea somewhere else.
Sure.
So I thought it was cool.
And I think it would make sense from a cultural standpoint. Like each culture has their own myth and lore and history. And I think here it definitely applies, which is weird because they seem very primitive. The inhabitants of this planet that are watching Vader do his thing, but they have droids, they have a little technology. So they're kind of, I don't know, they're kind of in that weird, like gray area of being,
Yeah. It's really weird. The world that they're in very much remind me of, except that people aren't very tribal, but I'm not sure if you're familiar with the universe. It's a video game called Horizon Zero Dawn, where the whole idea of that is like it's like a apocalyptic sort of thing. So like there's still buildings around, but there's all this like technology of animals and stuff around. This is very much like what it reminded me of. To regard, other than they were scared and they'd hide, and I think you see that like literally right after this page in particular of where they start hiding after all this stuff starts to happen.
Sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I think it adds a little more I don't know, interesting points to the natives of this planet, because like I said, they seem a little primitive, but they have droids working with them, and maybe it's, I don't know, it just seems like a really simple life.
Yeah.
Especially because, like you said, I think they revere this Ender as their god beast, or something to be feared for sure when it comes out.
Oh, that's a cool shot.
But Vader's having none of this.
No.
The interesting thing is, and again, getting back to the perspective of the inhabitants of this planet, this character is seeing all this happen. He's going to be telling, you know, the rest of his people the story later on. But it's interesting to see Vader romanticized through the eyes of this character, the way he is being in this story. You know, and it's funny. What do you feel of? I know a lot of. There's been some talk, obviously, about how Vader seems to be overpowered, especially in the Disney Kenobi series. But what were your thoughts on this comic? And what year did you mention? You said it was 2018 or 2019. So
It's
this
one
is
of those two. I think
so
2019.
So Disney had already purchased Star Wars at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I haven't ever really felt like Vader's too powerful, because I felt like that's kind of part of the idea of Vader during this time period, is that it's Vader in his prime, you know, for all those years that he didn't know about Luke.
Sure.
And so I've never gotten that feeling of like he's overpowered, because I've felt like that's the way he's meant to be. And if I recall, I haven't completely played through the game, but if I recall correctly, he's very much portrayed that way in Force Unleashed, and people love those games. So I don't know.
And when I don't know if you played the virtual VR game Vader Immortal.
Oh, those are fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought a headset just for that game, and I blamed it on my son. And I told my wife, no, he wants it, but I'll get it too. So, but you know, that game was interesting too, because it had a very interesting story, and we won't get into it in too much detail, but I don't know. And again, you'll have to listen to the episode with Pat and Charles from Conversations. I don't mind seeing Vader as much as we have, and I know a lot of people say that, you know, the more Vader you get, the more watered down the potential of his character to be. Vader is better in small doses. I kind of agree with Vader is better in small doses, but I've been kind of happily, you know, I've been happy with how they have shown Vader, you know, from the hallway scene to Rogue One to you know, the rest of the series. So I'm happy with this, and then this obviously, you know, is exciting to see him in comic book form as well.
You know, I've really enjoyed having like Vader, I feel like has had, it's kind of gone away now because of the era that the Star Wars comics are in now, but Vader's had like a big focus on the comics, where I think it's like the one medium that really works for his character to be like really focused on almost. Because you get to see all those action scenes that Vader, that, you know, people really want from Vader, and being able to delve into his character that way, that maybe wouldn't work as good on film.
That's cool. That's cool. Charles, that's cool. Star Wars Celebration Chicago had a Vader Immortal installation to play in. I think I kind of remember that. And it was kind of new in 2019. I can't remember when the game actually came out, but I know they released those in chapters, and I think it was three chapters of Vader Immortal, which was really cool.
I remember when that came out. One of my friends got a VR at the time, and that was like the exclusive. The deal they had was that you get that for free. And he's not a Star Wars fan, and so when I hung out with him, I was just like, let me play that.
Nonchalantly, let me check it out.
Yeah, I pretty much. It was funny because he was like doing like at the time, I think it was like a birthday thing that was going on. So like he's there with all our other friends, and I'm just there. I'm like, yeah, let me play this Vader really quick as they're doing whatever.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. It's a good game. I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
There was one scene, and I'll stop after that. There's this one scene where you are standing and you step onto a skiff. You are on a cliff.
Oh,
and the skiff goes down because you're trying to get to another area of the mountain range, but you're floating over a chasm, and you can see, I mean, obviously the headset's on you. You can see, you can turn around. My son has a ceiling fan above him in his room. And when I was playing that part, as I stepped into the skiff and went down to the chasm, I can feel the wind in my hair as the ceiling fan. And it was like so awesome. That's what I
That's cool.
Good stuff. All right. So let's see here. Vader gets busy with the Ender, and it basically attacks him. Like I said, Vader goes to town, and you can see some more incredible art between the coloring and the shading of this page. And the Black Knight is doing its thing, and we get a little bit of a narration with the alien character as he's watching all this stuff go through, which is really great. I love the detail in the teeth on this shot. It's really great.
Yeah. I also really like if you look at how Vader's drawn there, but it's like mid motion, creating that effect, which is cool.
It's very kinetic.
Yeah.
You see the cape, flowing. You see a lot of debris in the foreground. You see a lot of action lines. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. But the Ender is huge. This creature is a beast, and Vader goes down. The brave Black Knight crumbles. This frame starts like so many of our cities before him. So that's it. Vader's dead. End of story.
Right. Definitely how this is. Yeah, obviously.
Has that feel, but yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's interesting. It gives that character a little more insight as to how powerful Vader is. When this happens, he falls, and the kid's like, "Oh wait, he's not dead," or so it seems. So, he obviously force calls his lightsaber as this creature starts to plummet down. You can see Vader in his grasp there. And
what a shot that one is.
Yeah, great shot. And it's almost like what is that movie with the guy, the kaijus? Idris Elba was in the second one. I think Ang Lee directed the first one. The giant robots battling the Godzilla dudes.
Pacific Rim?
Yes, Pacific Rim.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's got that feel. I mean, he kind of looks like a shark dude.
Yeah.
But then, a little kish kizzed with the lightsaber. And Vader ignites his lightsaber and starts yes, thank you, Charles. Pacific Rim. Starts to go to town. He is seen decimating the creature, and this is another great shot perspective from the character below looking up. Great colors again. Awesome stuff. And this is that second cover, the alternate cover that is in the comic book. Vader slashes at the creature and lands on one of these dark horses with his lightsaber in tow, and you can feel that kinetic motion going towards this character on the ground. Now that it has basically kind of impaled his jaw or something into the creature's head. And great stuff.
Yeah, that's such an amazing shot. And this one too, holy crap, yeah. The art on this was fantastic.
There's a lot happening here. You can tell, Vader is battling this creature. The creature is having a difficult time. Vader kind of force pushes this kid character. I keep calling him a kid. I don't know if he's an adult. He's a small alien dude, just out of the way. And they start their battle again. But it's funny because this kid character kind of misinterprets Vader's actions and said, "Oh my God, he saved my life. He saved me."
Yeah, no, I did kind of find it interesting though that I mean that's what he did, right? Because like you see him there, he cuts off the main finger that he is about to pick him up with.
Yeah. But getting back to Maria's story or art stream, I don't know I have no idea where I would start with a frame like this picture art wise. But yeah, really great stuff. And next frame. So this is again, just another wonderful piece of frameable art, Nicole.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
But Vader jumps off that horse, and you can see that he's got the lightsaber on there and is about to enter his mouth, I think.
And this gave me very much like Godzilla feels, when he's charging up his atomic breath.
Yeah.
So I got Godzilla feels from this.
Sure.
From this
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, you have that character kind of giving a nice little narration to the action. He's saying how amazing it feels to see the Black Knight not just jumping through the air, but flying through the air, as obviously, we know that he's probably using the Force. Hey, Crusher Combo, what's up? Using the Force there. But again, a lot of action, a lot of kinetic energy in these frames. I love it.
Yeah.
Here is Vader punching him and continuing to plummet this creature with his lightsaber. The narration says, exposing her scaly neck with the clench of his fist. I'm close enough to smell the searing flesh when his sword skin sinks deep one last time. Close enough to hear the hissing gurgle as he tears it back out. Again, very kinetic, and again, very. I love the way they romanticize Vader. I mean, the shadow. You can see his eyes, but you can see the silhouette of his helmet, obviously, as the action is ensuing here. And it's not like Vader is unscathed. He's kind of suffering a little bit of damage with everything that he's doing. Turning midday to dusk, the sky darkens as Vader stands, presumably triumphant at this.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of the art so far?
I mean, it's spectacular art, like throughout the whole issue. I don't feel like any of it's really missed a beat. Yeah, this comic in particular, I feel like does a little more double, like full on spreads, or also just like focused on like one image on a page, and you've shown a bit of those more so than your average issue. And so it's cool to see that it makes it feel very cinematic.
Yes.
It's fantastic when you're reading it.
It is. And then I was telling you on the app, it's nice to have the smart mode going on the comic books, because it'll give you what you're supposed to read, in segments. When you tap, it'll go to the next frame and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fun. So after all that is said and done, it seems like that battle up there with the rebels seems to be over, because the Star Destroyer returns and picks up the Dark Lord of the Sith, and the villagers start dancing.
Celebration.
What are they celebrating?
I don't know if they said. The death of the Ender they were celebrating there.
Right. Because I think in their history, the Ender was responsible for a lot of destruction. Obviously, that is one of the reasons they had to go underground whenever they heard the rumbling, and they started to go underground hearing the rumbling of the space battle, but they realized, wait, it's not the beast. So obviously the celebration, and this is one of the reasons that they kind of look upon the character of this Dark Knight that came and saved them, in quotes, obviously. And they are celebrating the fact that the Dark Knight did save them from this creature, which is interesting. And I think they're eating the Ender too. Providing food and sustenance to the people. And I think that's one of the other reasons that they kind of revere this dark, hooded being that came out of the sky to save them. It almost reminds me of a weird, and Charles and Crusher Combo, this will be for you. It almost reminds me of violating the Prime Directive. If you're a Star Trek, you know what I'm talking about. But it's interesting that these characters chose to revere someone as dark as Darth Vader, interpreting his actions as one of benevolence, which is kind of cool. And now, this, and it does seem like he's a kid, because this other person right here is a little bit more on the adult side.
Yeah.
So he is an alien kid. But now the alien kid is mimicking Darth Vader's actions by lighting a stick on fire and jumping around like Vader did. Out of those heavenly flames stepped our liberator. They call Darth Vader a liberator, a knight in blackest armor with a sword made of red fire. Great descriptive there.
Yeah, I love that. Saying how they interpret all that.
And, as kids do, they play based on what their imagination sees. And he is getting ready to recreate that battle. And that is the end of this first episode. And then the great battle began. So it's kind of cool. What'd you think of this first story in the Dark Vision series?
I thought it was just great. It was really good. If I remember right, it's going to be interesting to see if my opinion differs as going back through it, as I think the first time I read these was 2 or 3 years ago. But the first time I read through these, I remember this one, I think, being my favorite one. Especially, I think it's a great introduction to it, though, as well, of this premise of seeing Vader's actions through another's eyes and seeing the alien kid here. And as we were just talking about him being this hero figure where, that's not how he's really viewed in, or as elsewhere. And so I thought it was a cool way to just show, what perspectives offer through, different through different parts of the universe you don't really get to see ever. Especially through a different case like this, where we're talking about aliens that's not involved in the conflict, and
right,
we've seen those a bit of those before, but we haven't seen them necessarily portrayed in this way where it focuses on them, and so it worked. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think I do remember. I remember remembering this story particular, and when you told me that there's 5 episodes or 5 issues, I was trying to go back. Other than the nurse story,
right.
I couldn't remember what the rest of them were. So I do find that this one is probably the one that I remember the most, because I think it made an impact on me when reading it. But it is interesting to be able to kind of see, Darth Vader, think about him outside the box from another perspective. And I also feel like it expands the galaxy a little more too, because obviously when you go to like a faraway planet and everybody knows the Empire, everybody knows who Darth Vader is, et cetera, it kind of closes things up a little bit and makes it seem like the galaxy is not so expansive. But when we get to a planet and the inhabitants are, kind of minding their own business, and then they see this figure come out of the sky the way Vader came out in this story, I think it really kind of gives you another perspective, which I enjoyed. And obviously, because Vader's my favorite, character, as I mentioned, but I do feel like this was a really great effort to kind of introduce a new way of seeing a character that obviously fans, recognize on sight, but seeing a character from a different perspective, like these characters are, I think they're really cool.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
And are you currently buying some of the new Star Wars comic books, or any of the titles?
Not Star Wars. I pick up a lot of stuff that's not Star Wars, but not Star Wars.
Okay. Because I'm not sure. Years ago, Brad and I did a discussion on Charles Soule's, I think, second Darth Vader series, which ended on episode 25, which was great.
That's my favorite Star Wars run. And not just my favorite Star Wars run, but it's one of my favorite ever comic series.
Wow.
So It's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's really good. I think again, I think they provided, and I love when, obviously Star Wars is X amount of years old, but it's interesting to kind of go back into these characters and kind of not reassess them, but just kind of like like I said, just look at them from another perspective. And I think Charles Soule did that definitely with that run. I think this story kind of puts Darth Vader in a position that gives us a different insight into his character as well. I think I'm going to have to go back to my app and kind of reread some of the other ones, but this one is the one that I probably remember the most because I think I enjoyed it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think, going back to where you're talking about with the current Star Wars stuff really quick, now is a good point to get into a lot of those. I know they just put out a first issue of Jedi Knights, which is their anthology Jedi Knight series, which I get it mixed up if it's either right before or right after Phantom Menace, but it's like an anthology where each issue focuses on a different one of those Jedi. But then also I don't think it's out yet. I think they're about to come out with their relaunch of the main Star Wars title. And then they also just announced they're doing a new Dr. Aphra series.
Okay.
So yeah. So like
I thought they were going to stop Dr. Aphra. Didn't they announce that that she was going to be in her last book?
Well, I know they ended all their titles because it wrapped up their era of it being between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but now they're in the post Return of the Jedi era. So she's still there. So
yeah. Who would play her in live action?
Oh God, I'm terrible with fan castings. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people, make some really great choices. I think one of my favorite is Kristen Crook from Smallville.
Okay,
I think she'd be kind of cool. But very very cosplayable character. We see her here in Chicago during C2E2.
That's cool.
A lot.
That's awesome.
But yeah, good stuff. The reason I ask about current Star Wars comic books is because I don't know what's going on in current Star Wars character comic. I don't know if they're doing the same thing. Are they kind of trying different stories like this one, or are they kind of keeping it?
What they've done recently, as far as a story like this, which isn't exactly like this, is Marvel's been doing this anthology series called that start with their regular heroes at first, called Black, White, and Blood, where each issue is a 3-issue like anthology. Or my bad, like 3 stories in one issue, each being a smaller story. So three small stories in one issue. Where there's a writer for different writer for each story and different artists with each story, but it's all either in black, white, and red. And so when they brought it over to the Star Wars line, they first did it with Darth Vader last year or early last year, maybe. And then they not too long ago did it with Darth Maul. But other than that, being like a sort of anthology story idea, I mean, Jedi Knights is that, being a Jedi thing like that, but like Darth Vader, I think that's the only thing that comes to mind of what they've done with Darth Vader specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. There is it had nothing to do with Darth Vader, but a couple of years ago, what was the video game that came out that was also a comic book?
Video game that was there a video game that was which one? Because like there were bigger video games of like Fallen Order and Survivor, but then there was Squadrons that came out.
I think it was Fallen Order.
Fallen Order did have a comic, a prequel comic, I think.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed that one. And one of the reasons I enjoyed it, I think the first one was Dark Temple. And one of the reasons I enjoyed the writing of that one, so here's the thing: when I read a comic book or kind of like ancillary material for Star Wars, the authors always kind of borrow lines from the original trilogy and stick them in there just to say, "Ooh, look, I know Star Wars." And I was kind of getting tired of that. Not every character is going to tell someone, dispense with the pleasantries, Commander. It's so I
Yeah.
liked the writing because it was fresh, it was new, and it didn't rely on nostalgia to kind of bring the characters to life. So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was a really good series. And if you guys are like looking for like older comic books to read, obviously Dark Visions, because we're going to be talking about that over the next couple of weeks, but Fallen Order is another one that I highly recommend. And obviously, the Charles Soule run of Darth Vader was also great.
One in particular that I really enjoyed that I don't see a lot of people talk about is it was Obi-Wan, and was it, I don't remember if it was Qui-Gon or Anakin. I remember Obi-Wan was one of the main characters there, and then it was was it with Anakin? I want to say maybe it was with Anakin during the Clone Wars. But anyway, the reason I don't remember, I guess, is because Obi-Wan and Anakin, that's it. Oh, also written by Charles Soule. Explains part of the reason why I really liked it a lot. Is their whole story focused on them being on like a stranded alien planet. That was cool. Added a lot to it, I felt like.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think comic books are something that I mean, I still have like boxes of my old Dark Horse comic books, and all the superheroes and Marvel comics and stuff like that. I was more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy, so I probably only have, I don't know, a small handful of DC comics, but I was more into Spider-Man growing up. So I still have a lot of those comic books. And then but yeah, I enjoy kind of like talking about comic books and storylines from the books. So Spencer, thank you for taking on this challenge to talk a little bit of Star Wars comic books, especially Dark
Absolutely.
Visions.
Right.
But chat, thank you guys so much. The chat turned into a Star Trek conversation a couple minutes ago.
I saw
So-
that.
So
funny.
thank you guys. It's always fun to see what the chat is chatting about during our live streams. But any announcements for you, Spencer? I know you were toying around with doing a little Marvel talk after this.
Yeah, probably not going to happen, but I will be at least talking a little bit about it on Sunday on the Comic Den, which has been trying to make a weekly podcast, weekly live show talking about comics and stuff, joined by Steve from Rebel Nerd Radio.
Are you sure that's his name this week?
Yeah,
he keeps rebranding.
Yeah, that's what it is for now. We'll give it another half a year and see what happens. But anyway, but yeah, no, we've been having a bunch of fun over there. Particularly this week we are talking about actually some DC stuff, as we've been doing a bunch of Marvel recently. So we're going to be talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Flash. For anybody that isn't familiar, Absolute Universe within DC is this brand new universe. Are you familiar with the Ultimate Universes with Marvel?
A little bit. Yeah.
Think of that idea, but it's DC's take on it that they just started doing in October. And so it's been really good, and they just launched Flash and Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern comes out next week. So we're talking about the first two of this new wave. So
excellent. Cool. Excellent. Yeah. And like I said, give everybody a follow that was in the chat. Give Spencer and Dingus Den a follow. Nicole is in the chat. Reminder to remind everybody to give the Red 5 Reading Club a follow as well, and head on over to the Discord. She'll have all that information there. Just reach out to her, and reach out to anybody else in the Red 5 network. Head on over to bio.link/Red5. And we are going to be back hopefully next week if we get our timings good, and we'll continue our Darth Vader Dark Visions discussion.
Yes.
Next week it'll be interesting because that issue. No, I think I'm mixing it up. You said 3 is the nurse issue?
3, yeah.
Yeah, 3 is the nurse issue. All right, I'll
I
have
don't
to
remember. I don't remember next one, so
Yeah.
we'll find out.
we'll find out definitely. Yeah, if you guys like this comic book talk here in the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast, let me know, and let me know what your thoughts are on anything else. We have a hotline. It's 773-234-8659. Leave us a voicemail. We love to hear what you guys are talking about. Until next time, Spencer, thank you so much. Everybody have a good night. Thank you everybody in the chat for joining us. I'm Ro, that's Spencer, and it's always sunny on Scarif, and that is the Scuttlebutt. Talk to you guys later.
Later.